Hello and welcome to the Armourer with me, Blue, today, and I'm just going to go through the remaining spoilers that we have not discussed yet. And the first and most controversial one so far is a Reiner reprint. If I have to be honest, I like the new art much more than I liked the previous one. And my overall thoughts on the reprint on Reiner is that I would have liked LSS to spoil him first, because they started with Kasai, which was very hype, and then they continued with like 4 new other characters, one of which was Kaio, but it's still hype because it's a new Kaio. And then they reveal the same Reiner as like the last spoiler for the year, and that was the opposite of hype, if I have to be honest. Brian Gottlieb talked about high expectations and how hard and almost impossible it will be to develop a set with 6 new heroes, which I kind of agree with, because if you have 6 new heroes, you can't have the set be like 600 cards or something like this. It will still be 200 and something to 300. And the heroes will feel underdeveloped or incredibly samey, in my opinion. But I still think that the reason the expectations were so high was LSS themselves, right? Because James White was talking about this set is going to have 6 new heroes, and so on, and we ended up getting not a new hero, which is not that bad. It's just bad that it was the last spoiler. If we started with Reiner right after Kasai or something, it would have calmed the expectations down very early into the spoiler season, in my opinion. But that being said, we move to Reiner's new specialization being Show No Mercy. It's 3 costs like his previous specialization. It's 6 for 3. Blocks 3, attacks for 6. When this attacks a hero, intimidate them. And then if the defending hero has no cards in hand, this gets +3. So this card is just a little bit more flexible version of his last specialization, which I think is very good, because this is going to help this kind of mid-rangey Reiner that people were playing in previous metas. Because ideally what you want to do with Show No Mercy is you play Barraging Beatdown, so you intimidate your opponent once, then you play Show No Mercy, pitching a blue card, Show No Mercy intimidates them again, and now they are intimidated twice. And even if they commit 2 cards onto blocking Show No Mercy in order to prevent the buff from Barraging Beatdown, at that point they will be with no cards in hand, so Show No Mercy will go up to 9 and you still deal 3 damage. So it kind of works exactly like his previous specialization, where you play it off of a blue, discard a 6, Reiner and the specialization will intimidate them, and the previous one is 3 for 9. But this one is more flexible because you can just play it, right? You don't need to discard anything, you can just play it, you can just have a turn where you just play Show No Mercy and do nothing else. So yeah, it's pretty good, pretty versatile. The only bad thing about Show No Mercy is the 3 cost, because Reiner does not really like 3 cost attacks, especially if they do not print 6 power blues for Reiner. And it seems like they will not be doing that, seeing that Kaio already turns all the 5 power blues into 6 power blues. But yeah, even with that, Show No Mercy is a great card in my opinion. And then we have yet another beat chest card, And the B chest is just an insanely good mechanic for Brute in my opinion, because it allows you to, as an additional cost, only if you want to, you get to discard the card and you get to pick the card you discard. And this says when this attacks a hero, if you've beaten chest this turn, intimidate them. So this is also a very flexible card. Now, how much play will this see? I'm not sure, because Brutes already have a card that is 2 cost 6 power 3 block that says when this attacks, dominate the opponent. Intimidate. But Rawhide Rumble allows you to play I guess a little bit more combo oriented line, where you get to beat chest, discarding something, intimidating off of Reiner, and then Rawhide Rumble itself also intimidates. And you can choose to discard a I forgot the name of the card, but the one that intimidates your opponent when you discard it, and being able to choose it instead of having to pray that your opponent randomly discards it is also very nice. So I think that this card is definitely going to see some experimentation with, and I feel like cards like these are going to help the kind of combo Reiner in Blitz a lot, and it's possible that it will rotate him out. You know, it will be pretty cool in my opinion if we see kind of enough support for the Reiner playstyle to be good enough in Blitz in order for it to rotate out, and maybe we will also see it in CC, but kind of doubt it right now. Then we see Kaio, as I've kind of said previously. His ability is attack action cards you own get +1 while they're in any zone other than the combat chain. So your 5 power blues will be 6 power when they're in your hand, when they're in your deck, or when they're in your graveyard, which is pretty cool. Kind of gives you a lot of consistency that a Brute sometimes lacked, precisely because they didn't have a lot, if any, 6 power on the blue slots. And then you have the first time you discard a card with 6 or more power during each of your action phases, create 1 might token. So I'm not sure how powerful this ability is going to be. It just seems like an additional value slapped on the character just so it has something to do, because Brute doesn't really have on-hit effects, so the might token is just pure damage. You know, it's never going to force a non-hit or something like this. Even though, you know, you don't need to play. You don't need to play only Brute attacks. And technically, maybe you can utilize the might token that you generate for cards like CNC, Erase Face, and so on. You know, these disruptive 6 power red attacks that will now be 7 power. And that may be pretty strong, actually. And he has the negative part. As you can see, he lost one of his arms. So this is reflected in his card, and it says you have 1 weapon zone, and you may have one-handed weapon or off-hand equipped. And most likely he's just going to be running his old weapon, because Blood Rush Bellow is still an insane card, even if you only have 1 claw. And yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what Kaio decks will see, because maybe some people will try to go for like this CNC more consistent plan where you try to combine the discard effects with generic on-hit effects that will be even harder to deal with because of the might generation. Or maybe we'll see decks that rely on a Berserk combo line. Berserk, for those of you that don't remember, is a one-cost non-attack action that says this turn, whenever you discard a 6th cost, draw a card, and if it's a 6th cost, you kind of keep it in your hand. Not 6 cost, but 6 power, you keep it in your hand. And with Caillou being able to pump every 5 power attack in his deck up to 6 power while in the deck, the Berserk is going to be almost 100% consistent. I'm saying almost because you'll obviously be playing 3 of it and you'll be playing Blood Rush Bellow as well. So that kind of gives you 6 or 4 misses in the deck. But you'll also be able to play things like Zealous Belting, because Zealous Belting is now going to be 6 in the deck, and also all of your 5 powers are also going to be 6 in the pitch zone, so they're going to be giving your Zealous Beltings a go again. And also for the Berserk turns, cards like Wild Ride and Poping are also going to be amazing, so you'll probably be playing even the yellow versions of these cards, which will once again in your deck, pitch and everywhere else, but the combat chain will be 6 power. So yeah. A card revealed with Caillou was No Fear, which kind of ironically makes me fear for Caillou a little bit. Because with the spoiler release of every character, we got a majestic specialization for that character, except for Caillou. And Caillou's previous specialization is one that gives him additional die rolls, and the new Caillou seems to not be reliant on die rolls at all. And No Fear, if I have to be honest, is just a very bad card. You know, it's great in terms of flavor, it's amazing, but as a playability, I feel like it's horrible. So yeah, I'm just hoping that we see a good Caillou specialization in the set spoiled later down the line. So No Fear says, as an additional cost to play this, banish any number of cards with 6 or more power from your hand at the beginning of the end phase, and return them to your hand. The next time you will be dealt damage this turn, prevent X of that damage, where X is 2 plus the number of cards banished to play this. So this is horrible, right? Best case scenario is your opponent attacks you with something that has Dominate, and you play No Fear from your arsenal, banishing the entirety of your hand in a Caillou deck, and you prevent 6. And that's it. So this makes it incredibly situational, and you know, like if this was kind of like an instant effect on a 6 power attack, it would have been good, it would have been playable, maybe it would have been amazing if I have to be honest, but right now it's like, why would you even do this, right? Because if that's the best case scenario, why don't you just play Sink Below or any of the other cards that by themselves will block 4, no matter how many cards you have in your hand, so they will be usable in a wider spread of situations. And in this situation specifically, you'll be able to play the defense reaction and then block with a 3 from hand in order to block 7. With No Fear you can block 6 without using any cards from your hand, but if you want to block more than 6, because I'm not really sure what relevant Dominate effect exactly does 6 block, and if you want to block more, you're kind of better off using at least one of your cards for hand as a block, because most of your cards are going to be blocking for 3, and you will transform this 3 block into 1 damage prevention with No Fear. I guess another good line of play is versus a wizard or something like this, so down the line when we receive a wizard set, maybe No Fear is going to be good then, because maybe we'll be able to prevent like 6 arcane damage or 5 or whatever during our opponent's turn with no fear. But other than that, it's just bad right now. Then we have Bonebreaker Bellow, Beat Chest. This is the second Beat Chest card. As an additional cost to play this, you may discard a 6 power. So this is also pretty good. Kind of the downside of this card is that it's brute action. So what it does is gain +3 for your next brute attack, and if you've beaten chest this turn, instead gain +5. So yeah, in something like Reiner, if we are to play a Reiner that relies on more brute actions and is playing with the club, for example, and wants to play more blues for his Show No Mercy and the other specialization, maybe you can just play Bonebreaker Bellow into the club for 7 guaranteed, or if you have 1 remaining card in hand that you have nothing better to do with and is a 6 power, you can discard it in order to gain +2 off of the beaten chest ability for this card, and then +1 off of the club's effect, resulting in a 3 card 10 damage, which is not amazing, but seeing that it's a swing with a weapon, it's still pretty good. And yeah, like just the beat chest ability as a whole may be worth enough playing, especially if the Reiner deck is going to aim to play a more mid-range style, where maybe he will be playing some defense reactions, some other Bonebreaker Bellows, or barraging beatdowns and so on, which are cards that you'll be pretty happy arsenaling, and the beat chest ability is going to allow you to not discard them randomly. Then we have 2 kind of cards with almost the exact same text, which is Mighty Windup and Agile Windup. Both of them say instant discard, create a Might token or create an Agility token. So these cards seem very versatile to me. These are cards that I will probably definitely try out in Kaio, because in Kaio the blue versions will be 6 power, so they will not be breaking me. In a situation on a Berserk turn, if you draw into cards that do not allow you to continue discarding, Mighty Windup and Agile Windup are going to kind of help you with that, because you're going to be able to just discard them off of their own effect and then trigger Berserk to draw another card, kind of cycle through your deck even more. On your first turn or on your opponent's first turn, they're just incredibly good to just discard them, gain the Agility token or gain the Mind token, and if it was your turn, get another Might token off of Kaio's ability. The Agility token as a whole seems like something that's just incredibly useful and strong. So yeah, and then again, if we, I believe we have spoiled red versions, so we'll probably even have yellow versions. So kind of the yellow versions of these cards, or at least the Agile Windup, may actually also be very good in Reiner, because it will be a yellow 6 power card that you can discard to just gain an Agility token, which is always good in Brute, and it's kind of always good anywhere outside of Ninja. But it also allows you to have a kind of instant speed Reiner activation. right? Whenever you discard a card with 6 or more power during your action phase, Intimidate. So you can just discard these to intimidate your opponent. You know, like the yellow version of this in Reiner is a 6 power yellow attack, so you can pitch it for the majority of your turns. You can just discard it on its own to intimidate, and on top of that, whenever you do this, you create an agility token. So yeah, I see them as just very versatile cards. Unfortunately, they only block 2, which, I mean, if they didn't block 2, they would have probably been a must include in those decks. And last, the last foiled hero is Olympia, Prized Fighter. The first time each of your attacks wins a wager, create a gold token. And this is a warrior. So I'm not too sure what my opinions on this ability are. From what I understood, he can only create 1 gold a turn, unlike Kasai, who can create a bunch of gold a turn. And I'm not really sure what he's gonna be doing with the gold, because right now we don't yet have new gold payoffs other than cash in. So kind of our best bet right now is that Olympia is maybe going to have a two-handed weapon that costs 2 or 3, and he just wants to wager a lot. He wants to play a lot of blues, and then after he creates some amount of gold, he'll be able to just cycle through his blues with the gold token, kind of generating 1 resource off of every gold. Because basically you pitch a blue, crack a gold, you have 1 resource left over, and you draw into your blue, so you just cycle the card and gain 1 resource. And you can, you know, pitch your next blue, crack another gold token, draw into another blue, now you have 2 resources. And maybe that's going to be his game plan. If that's the case, at least right now it doesn't seem too exciting, but if we have to be honest, being able to generate free resources is seems pretty strong at the end of the day. A card followed with him is Take the Upper Hand, a 0 resource attack reaction that says play this only if you wagered this chain link. Target attack gets +3, and it also blocks for 3. So the very interesting thing here is that Olympia kind of functions like Bolton right now, where, yeah, it seems like he only works with the cards within his archetype, but in reality, any card can wager, especially with these buffs where, like Moneywear Maltese, that allow any card in the game to wager. So you can technically just play Moneywear Maltese, pitching a blue, have 2 resources left over, attack with a CNC that now wagers and attacks for 9, and then you can play Take the Upper Hand on top of it because you wagered this chain link, and it just says target attack. It doesn't have to be a warrior attack or anything. So yeah, so you can definitely have these non-warrior attacks, non-weapon attacks, and so on in Olympia, and that's going to be pretty interesting. That's going to be pretty interesting because Olympia will probably also be able to wager a bunch of agility tokens, and if that's the case, then maybe you will also be able to play cards like Snatch and just play a Snatch off of an agility token with Go Again. Maybe you allow the Snatch to wager in some way, then you play Take the Upper Hand, gets +3, gets to hit, you win the wager, you can continue your turn. Off of winning the wager, you create even more gold. And lastly, his specialization. If you have to be honest, probably the best specialization we have seen right now, in my opinion. It's a blue warrior attack reaction that blocks for 3 and the cost is X. It's Olympia specialization, and it says choose X plus 1. So if you choose the X to be 0, you still get one of those effects. And if you pay 3 into up the ante, you're going to get all 4 of the effects. So it says target attack wagers an agility token, target attack wagers a gold token, target attack wagers a vigor token, and target attack gets Y power, where Y is the number of times it has wagered. So if you attack with something like CNC, for example, and then you play up the ante for 3, the CNC is going to wager 3 times and gain plus 3. So off of itself, up the ante is able to give plus 3 to an attack. But if you play up the ante on an attack that has already wagered like 2 or 3 times, the power can end up being like 5, 6 and so on. You know, you can easily play, let's say you get a vigor token off of the previous turn, you play Money-Where Mouth Is, then you play Wage Gold, and now that attack is wagering gold twice, and then you can play up the ante, wagering 3 more things, so you wagered 5 times with that attack, and now the bonus of up the ante is 5. And at that point, it just seems insane, right? It's like a plus 5 that also gives you agility, vigor, gold. Very, very strong. So yeah, that's with the spoilers this season. So please tell me, what are your expectations? Are you excited for any of these heroes? And which one are you going to start brewing first? I myself already made some Kasai videos, and I'm probably going to make some Kaio videos, and then I'll move to Olympia and Betsy as soon as we get more cards for them. Bye bye.